Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. Please hit the subscribe button. And if you're returning, hit that likes button. And also if you're passing through, hit that likes button and also the subscribe button. What are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button. If you're returning and you've watched my videos more than one time and you're returning, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Obviously, you've watched my channel. Hit the subscribe button. So today we are going to talk about the Timothy Haslett story. And I don't know if all of you guys are familiar with the Timothy Haslett story, but this is the story out of Missouri. It was a year ago. He kidnapped a young woman, and he was kidnapping, as we found out, minority women out of Missouri. Here and there, we found out later, and holding them and unaliving them in his basement. He also had a young child in his basement that he was taking care of. And so he had taken these young women and held them and was R-ing them and assaulting them and unthinkable things to them. And on this particular day, he had held this woman against her will for several weeks. And she had escaped on this particular day. She said that she had friends with her. She doesn't know what happened to those friends that was with her. She escaped, and with the dog, I guess, and she had dog collar and dog collar around her neck, her arms, and her legs. And she escaped, let the dog loose, and she got loose when he took his son to school. His son was in the house, and he had left to take his son to school, and I guess he had left the door open. Similar to the case in Ohio, where this guy had held the 3 women captive in the home. So we're going to get into this, and I'm going to show some videos on that. We're also going to talk about the Alexee Trevizio case out of New Mexico, where she had unalived her unborn child, a 19-year-old high schooler, that said that she was unaware that she was pregnant, and she had back pains. So her mother had taken her to the hospital because she was complaining of back pains. She didn't know that she was pregnant, and she was gaining all this weight. She was a cheerleader, and so her stomach was getting bigger. She was gaining all this weight. I find that hard to believe. And she went to the hospital. She thought she had to use the bathroom, had a bowel movement. She went to the bathroom, pulled the baby out, and discarded the baby like a piece of trash. I also have the video up where I had did the video a year previous to the last year when this happened in August. And I'll play that and do some commentary because it's interesting. Of when this happened, and just curious of, how she did not know that she was pregnant. So we're going to get into all of that, but I'm glad that finally the Timothy Haslett case came about, because I was wondering what ever happened to this case. I was wondering, they found that the young woman that escaped, and I never heard anything else about it. And so now charges have been brought because they found a body in the lake, and evidence has been brought back to him, and he's admitted that he has unalived this person. And I'm sure, and I hope, that there's going to be more charges brought against him, because they're now calling him a serial unaliver. because they think that he's done this before. Now, I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and in Albuquerque, there was the West Mesa unaliving out there. And there were several bodies that were unalived out there, and they were buried on the West Mesa. And so this is like similar to that. So if they can catch this guy that just, he was doing this to minorities out in Missouri, I hope that they get him for more. So he's pleaded guilty to to the unalivings of these women, and now he's being held in jail. So we'll get to that. We'll play the video there, and I will pull up the video. Okay, and this was in, let's see, what video? This was when it first happened. Let's see. It's not that one. Let's see. Let's try that one. Now, this is the guy here. Let's see. That's not the one. I had all of this pulled up and ready to go, and something always happens when you're ready to go. This is his bond arraignment.
In 18 years, Grant Gill will become an improv legend. That's why he's preparing for it now, with health tips and wellness tools from AARP to help make sure his health lives as long as he does. The younger you are, the more you need AARP.
News from Clee County. A new bond has been denied for Timothy Haslett Jr. He's charged with kidnapping and raping a woman before she escaped his home last year. Today in court, prosecutors requested an increase in his bond after police found the remains of another woman possibly connected to this case. Police say a kayaker found Janie Crosdell's remains along the Missouri River inside a blue barrel. Blue barrels were in the driveway of Haslett home when we shot video of the crime scene in October. The prosecutor says Crosdell was in Haslett's house before his arrest. A judge ruled his bond will stay at $3 million. His next court date is set for this October.
Okay, so he's in jail now for a $3 million bond. He was found. He was charged with murder. Originally, he was arrested on just kidnapping. Let's see if we can pull up another video. I don't know what this one is.
The San Diego Community Rebate Program is now offering huge savings on the Powerball 3. $9,300 in savings on the Powerball 3 and $18,000 in savings on 2. You heard that right. This is for real, and the savings make going solar with the Powerball 3 a no-brainer. Look for the San Diego Community Power line on your electric bill. If it's there, you qualify. Rebate funds are limited, so reserve your Powerball 3 today. Stellar can guide you through the process.
News from Clee County. A new bond has been denied for Timothy Haslett Jr. He's charged with kidnapping and raping a woman.
So that's the same one. So that's the same one. I was hoping that I had more. I'll just read this one and share it with you all. This guy actually had back in January, had kidnapped and tortured this young woman. And so he held her captive for 3 weeks and, did unthinkable things to her, held her in his basement in a dungeon where she was beaten and whipped, detained. He held her with dog collars. He had a dog collar around her neck, ankles, and she was hogtied, basically. And this went on, she said, for hours on end. He would come in, do this to her, let her rest for a minute, I guess, per se, and then come back in and do it again. She did have 2 friends that were with her, and she does not know what happened to those 2 friends because I guess I don't know if he was giving them something in the meantime as he was doing it to them, but she doesn't know what happened to those 2 friends. And so he probably ended up unaliving those 2 friends because she doesn't know what happened to those 2 friends. And those 2 friends have never been found. And they've never come to the police or anything else. So I'm assuming that they're not here with us anymore. I'm hoping that he does get they either find them or they do they find. Well, at this point I don't think that they're going to be found. I think that their bodies are somewhere out there, and it's up to him to tell the police where their bodies are at. These were people that sometimes when the families they go and they're on drugs or they're out there, these men prey on these women or men per se, and they think, the families don't care about them, so they're not going to report them missing, and so I can just take advantage of them and no one is going to ever report them missing, so I'll do whatever I want with them. And so no one's going to report them missing, so to hell with it. I can do whatever I want with them. So they take advantage of these people. And so no one ever reports them missing or, because they're, per se lost. And that's what they think of them, which is a sad thing. So I hope that he gets what he deserves, and I will be keeping a close eye on this case because it's very sad. No one deserves, whether you're on drugs or if you're doing whatever, no one deserves to be thrown out on this, just thrown away. And I don't think that any family members just throw their loved ones away because they're on drugs or because they're doing whatever they're doing. We all love our loved ones and we all want them to be safe. And we all, regardless to what they're doing, want the best for our loved ones. And we always, think about our loved ones, and we're always going to be, caring and looking out for them. And, so it's a sad case. It's just sad that someone would say, and the police don't look for them either. The police think, they don't look for these people. When you call and say, Sally's missing, and they say, okay, what's Sally's address? And the minute you tell them they're on drugs or they're mentally ill or, they're, I can't, pee, they don't care. They don't look for them. They're just like, oh, well, they're a lost cause. They're out there. And that's not right. They're all someone's family, and we all need to take, into consideration. These people are sick and they need help, and they're still our loved ones, and we still need to look for them. So I hope that they find their remains, and I hope that he gets what he deserves. And I hope that, he spends the rest of his life in prison. So I wanted to touch base on that case and just kind of follow up, because it went by the wayside, and I was like, well, whatever happened to this guy? So I want to make sure that he gets what he deserves. So we're going to move on to the next case, which is Alexee Trevizio. So she was a young lady that I did do this case on. And it was kind of interesting because as young adults, we all teach our children to use protection. We all teach them to, use the condoms and, be safe. And this was a young lady that I did a case on, actually, when I was first on YouTube, and it came up. And there was another case in New Mexico where, babies were being thrown in the trash. And I thought, my gosh, give them up for adoption. If you don't want the child, give them up, because there's a lot of people out there that are trying to have children that can't have children, and that would love to have these children. And so here was a young lady that said that she didn't know that she was pregnant. And I know that you could feel something moving in your tummy, because I know that I did when I had my children. You could feel a kick or a punch, and you're not just feeling a kick or a punch, a little, and not say that you don't know that you're pregnant. Come on. So I'm going to play my video that I did back then, and just kind of give some reaction. And then I'm going to come back up and see what you all think. I'm going to fast forward through my intro back then, but I'm going to add it to the stage now. Young adults, especially still in high school, you might be afraid to tell your parents. And I get it. I mean, it's scary when you all of a sudden look up and you're pregnant at that age, and you have to say, oh my gosh, I need to tell my mom. So, a lot of people were saying that maybe she just didn't know that she was pregnant. I find that hard to believe. I think that she knew something was wrong. And I think that her boyfriend knew that something was going on. And I'll get into that a little bit later, because they also, there was speculation that her friends said that they already had named the baby and that she knew that she was pregnant. But anyway, starting from the point that she went to the hospital and, went into the restroom and had the baby, and, then put put disposed of the baby in the trash can. I think at that point, she said, "Oh, I didn't know that, she wasn't crying, or it wasn't crying." And I'm thinking, well, you know what? If it wasn't crying, then at that point, then you ring the nurse's station and you say, "Look, I've just given birth and something is seriously wrong." So you don't then go on to have the baby and then dispose of the baby and cover it up in the trash can. I just don't think that is, that's just not okay. So my thought, and I think that, I don't know if you guys have thought this, if you've heard of this story and you've thought this. Okay. So my thought is that you do know that you're pregnant at that time. You should know because you're feeling movement. And when she went into the hospital, actually, she was in labor. And so what they're trying to do now is say that the hospital is responsible for the demise of the child because the hospital had given her morphine. And whenever you go in to get a checkup, whenever you're going in for a regular checkup or you're going into the ER, they always ask you, "Are you pregnant?" And I got a lot of comments on that video, and I'm in the medical field I'm 53, and I started out in the medical field at 18 and ongoing with my experience. So they always ask, "Are you pregnant?" This and that. They don't take your word for it. They always give you a pregnancy test. And so they always give you a pregnancy test, regardless if you say if you're pregnant or not. They still ask me, and I've had a hysterectomy. And I'm like, I'm not, unless it's, miraculous. I'm not. But they do. And so they're not going to dish out morphine, especially for a 19-year-old, if the pregnancy test didn't come back first. And so the hospital's not going to do that. So you can't blame the hospital for giving you morphine. So that's number one. So we can scratch that out. You knew, and I can't believe that you didn't. I think you were covering up from your mom because her mom was very strict. And we'll see that in the video going down. Her mom was very strict because her mom was like, "I told you, Lexi." Here, I did not have the technology that I do now. And so I just kind of watched the video, and I was like, in this video, I was like, I kind of played it out. So we'll continue. To me, I think that she should be charged with something because I think that she was well aware at that point, and at that point it was going to be out in the open. I don't think, and I don't know how she thought that she was going to get away with it because there was, they said it was just a bloody scene in there. And so I'm like, okay. And at that point, at the point of you having the back pain and having to go to the ER, and knowing, maybe this is it, or, something like that, why didn't you then just go ahead and say, "Look, Mom, I'm pregnant. There's nothing that she can do." If she was if you, at that point, if she said, "You know what, give it up for adoption," or whatever the case may be, she should have told her mother then. So I do believe that, that when these young women when they get pregnant and they have, and they're, pregnant. And so, at that point, you decide if you want to keep the child or not, and you want to have relations or whatever. You just got to be honest. She's 19. What is her mom going to do at this point? You've got to be honest with your parents. I'll fast forward and tell me whatever's going on. Yes, I might be upset, Yes, I'll be hurt or whatever. But at that point, it's like, it's a blessing, then we have to deal with it. We will, move on and deal with whatever happens at that point. So I can't really, get upset with the mom for her reaction, because I mean, I probably would have had, a reaction close to that or similar, per se. But I think that her mom might have been understanding at that point and just said, okay, this is words, and I'm going to stop it there. And I'm going to bring up the mom's reaction now.
I'm Vinny Politan. Get ready. We got a big hour here coming up on closing. So we got to take a look at the autopsy.
You can't ignore that the baby was very, like after a C-section. I received other opioids, right, for pain, and that breast milk was still getting into the baby. So I don't think they would have given her anything to harm the baby. Now, could it have impeded breathing? Potentially, but you can't ignore that the baby was very.
Let's see if I could find another one. I want to get to the part where her mom was like, Alexee, I told you. Let's see if that's it. Okay, here it is here.
We are health specialists of New Mexico.
The baby's dead. She killed the kid.
Tense moments captured by police body cam video.
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months? Something was crying.
A lifeless baby found dumped inside of a hospital trash can.
She just had it. She had it in the bathroom. Was what happened.
When I picked up the trash, I thought it was heavy, and so I started looking in there. And on the very bottom, she had it covered with some toilet paper.
19-year-old Alexee Trevizio now charged with murder.
She put the baby in the trash can, and then she put another clean liner over the top of it.
Her mother left in a state of confusion.
Alexee, have you watched the news of the girls, that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail? I was crying.
Desperate for answers.
Where did you put the baby at? Tell me the truth. You put it in the bag?
Yes.
Yeah. In what bag? Why did you say anything to us?
Doctors stating the obvious.
I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, we do have to have the police involved.
Alexee transported to a local hospital.
Hey, Alexee, so you're getting transported, okay? So the detectives will be contacting you, okay?
Okay, let's see if I could find.
Regular reading helps develop.
The other one. Let's see. Let's see if this is it. That's the same one. Let's see. I'm trying to find the one. Let's see. Is this it? Let's see. Okay, let me share screen. Okay, we'll share this one here.
We have to gather some more information about what's going on. They'll get your statement. They're going to get the doctor's statements. They're going to get everybody's statements. Okay. So I don't know everything yet. Okay. So I'm not going to tell you. I can't tell you nothing. Okay. All I can say is
Could go to jail.
right now.
Let's see. Oh, I don't know what happened.
Like fashion photography.
Work it, baby.
Food photography. Work it, baby. Baby photography.
I'm sorry, there's we discovered a dead baby in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It came out of me and I didn't know what to do. Lexi, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth. It was not crying or nothing. What did you do to it?
Okay, stop right here. Stop. Number one priority, guys. Number one priority is she just had a baby. I don't know if she's delivered the placenta. She's bleeding significantly.
Yeah.
I've spoken to the obstetrician at Loveless. They want her out there as soon as possible.
Okay, so on this video, I said we're at, and so we could just, let's move on from here. I think it is really sad that she was, to me, my opinion, I think that it was kind of, she was really being manipulative. You could see her, crying in the bed. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. And it's like, but common sense for anyone would say that if you had this baby and it didn't cry, then it's like, oh, wow, something's going on. Let me get a nurse or a doctor in here and we can see what's going on. I think that, it might have been a different outcome. So I don't know. What do you all think about it? Do you think that, she should be charged? And if so, what should she be charged with? I don't think that that she should have been allowed to go out of the state, being that what they charged her with. I think that she should have been made to stay and, face consequences. I think that every action that you do when you know right from wrong, and I believe that, by her mom's reaction, and she says, I told you, what could happen. She knew right from wrong. And that's why she was afraid to tell her mother. However, I don't think a child should ever be afraid to tell their parents something. I think that you should really try to sit down and speak to your parents if you are going through, if you've made a mistake or whatever. Sometimes it would help. Just sit down and try your parents. Sometimes the reaction that you get might not be the reaction that you were expecting. You might have expected an explosion, but it wasn't, and they were understanding. So always try a different approach, or tell someone else that you feel closer to. Go and talk to them and that you feel comfortable with, and maybe have them to sit down and go with you to tell your parents, so that it's someone else. So she's being charged with murder. She was allowed after this to go out of town. She was allowed to go to her prom. She was allowed to go on with her life for a whole year. And now she's actually going to trial a year later for this crime. And to me, if you pulled something out, you go to the bathroom and you're thinking you're having a bowel movement and something comes out. My first reaction would, if you're claiming that you don't know that you're pregnant, my first reaction is, if something came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, if it's not poop and I'm in the hospital and something comes out, my first reaction is I'm screaming and I'm calling the nurse because I'm in the hospital, or a doctor, and saying, help. Something's not normal. I need you to come and help me. Something came out of me. At this point, a baby. Because you're 19, you should know. So I don't believe this crap about you didn't know you were pregnant and this manipulative behavior that she's giving. It's bullshit, because you laid down and you had sex. You knew enough to do that. You got caught and you were pregnant. I don't understand this manipulative behavior that this generation of children do with their parents. I don't get it. And the parents just look the other way like it's nothing. And they fall for it. It's like, at some point, parents, we need to get it together and say, a light bulb needs to go off somewhere, and say, come on, let's wake up and help our kids out. Because for us to keep looking the other way, it's not helping them and it's not helping us. She knew that she was pregnant. And sometimes kids are not going to talk to their parents about everything. And so for the parents that think that their kids are going to talk to them about everything, because they think that our kids are our best friends. They're not our best friends. Get that out of your head. Our kids are not our best friends. And I don't want my kids to be my best friend. I don't want my kids to be my buddy. I never want that. I want to keep my kids as I want my kids to always talk to me. Granted. I want my kids to always be able to talk to me with whatever situation they're going through. But I don't want my kids to be a buddy. I don't want my kids to be a best friend to me, because that's not what God put them here for me to be. God did not put my kids here to be a buddy or a best friend to me. God put my God loaned my children here to be a parent. God loaned my children here for me to be a parent. If he wanted me to be a best friend to my children, he would have put my kids, he would have put them here to be a friend to me. So I don't want to be a friend to my parents. To my children. I want to be a parent to my children. So when I hear parents say, "Oh, that was my best friend," I don't want to be a best friend to my children. If my children say, "Oh, that's my mom's like a friend to me," that's great. If I'm like a friend to you, that's great. But I don't want to be your best friend. I want to, if I'm like a best friend, that's great. But I'm also your mother first and foremost. And that's always what I want to be, is your mom. And I want you to always come to me as your mother. That's what I want to be. Not a buddy, not a friend, but your mother. As a guide, as a parent. Because I don't want to be your buddy. I don't want to be your friend. I want to be your mother. I want to be your mother and that guide and that head. So I don't like it when people, when I hear parents say, "Oh, that was my best friend or my buddy." I don't want to be your buddy, and I don't want to be your best friend. I want to be your mom, and I want to be that confidant as your mother that you can come and talk to me about. So she should have been able to come to her mom and talk to her mom and say, "Mom, this is who I am. This is what I'm going through." And let mom fix it, because that's what mothers are supposed to do. That's what I want to be for my children. I want to, if my children think that I'm going to be a best friend for them, granted, great. That's awesome. But I want to be a mother first. And so she should have been able to come and talk to her mom and say, "Mom, this is what's going on." But I do believe that she knew what was going on. I do believe that she knew that she was pregnant. And I do think that she needs to get consequences for her actions. I do believe that she needs to have consequences behind her actions. I do believe that she needs to have and I don't mean just a slap on the wrist. I believe that she needs to have some type of jail time to make her think that you're not going to just, go and do this type of behavior and think that you're going to get away with it and think that it's okay. Because you knew what you did was wrong. You knew because you covered it up. You went and you pulled the baby out and you put it in the trash can and you covered it up with paper towels, just like the nurse said. And I was waiting for this case to come up. I got a lot of comments on that video, got a lot of views on it. And I hope you guys comment on this one, because I'd love to know your reaction on this video. It's happening way too much. All she needed to do was have the child. If her mom didn't want to raise the child, or she didn't want to raise the child because she wanted to go off to college, there's plenty of children, I mean, mothers that out there that can't have children, and she could have given that child up for adoption. There's other means to what she did, and I just don't think it's okay. So I think that, she should pay for what she did. There's another case that I did, Carly Russell, that I think that she should get some type of punishment for her case. And I think she did. Do I think that's enough? I don't know. I need to go back and look at that case as well. But when you do something in any situation, I think that when you do something, there should be a consequence behind it. So all I'm saying is that when we do things, there's always a consequence behind everything that you do. So let's be mindful. Let's be mindful. So let me know what you guys think about this case. Also, go back and watch that video that I did on the Alexee Trevizio case. And let me know what you think about that. Comment on that one, because that was one of the first videos that I did when it first happened. And let me know what you think about the Timothy Haslett case. Interesting case. He was taking these women and holding them in the basement. And it's scary because it has me looking at my neighbors quite a bit and wondering, are they holding them in the basement? You look at these men or, just everyday people, and it's like, my gosh, you never know. If you could be living next to a SR, So anyway, comment on these cases. Thank you all always so much for watching, and thank you all so much for subscribing to my channel. Please hit the subscribe button, also the likes button. And thank you all for my loyal subscribers that always come back and watch my videos. And please hit the subscribe button, the likes button, and the bells button. And until next time, thank you all. And until next time, please go back and watch my other videos. Please go back and watch this video so you can catch up and see what happened back then. And until next time, bye.